I want to be Obi-Wan. That's it.
All right. Well, everybody have a good week. Let's start off there. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's excited for conference.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I'm even more excited now that I know that Eileen's a huge 49ers fan too. Like, I already liked her, but like, we're like,
I know now it's official. We're family.
well, like literally this hat is a 49ers hat I wear. Like you will see like all winter, like all my gear is 49ers gear. Like we've gone to like when we went on that run from like 12 on, like we were at almost every, because we lived in San Francisco, we were at almost every one of those playoff games.
Man.
Yeah.
I've only been to one game, and it was their last game at Candlestick.
We were there. We went to that game.
Really?
Of course, it was the last game at Candlestick.
Yeah, it was so emotional.
Yeah, like because we went because right. So what I hate about the new stadium is tailgating. Candlestick, right, was awesome for tailgating. You know, like that morning, I think we got there the day of the final day at like 8 in the morning. If I don't know if you remember, they had to open up. So normally they don't open early. It shut the 101 freeway down. And so they just said, we got to let these people in because everybody wanted to come because it was the last game. So that's awesome. You actually got to go to Candlestick. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. I got to meet JJ Stokes and
Oh,
Bubba
wow.
Paris. My papa actually took Bubba Paris fishing on his guide boat up in Kenai years ago. So I got to talk with Bubba, and he remembered my grandfather. And yeah, it was like insane.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
need to go to another game.
Yeah.
I might tag along with you to Miami. Who knows?
Yeah, let's go get some sales and get down there. Well, and we have a place to stay. So like one of my very good friends lives like just north of Miami in Delray Beach. He just bought the house next door to his because eventually he wants it's smaller. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. He wants to kill it, but for now he's going to rent it out but like make an Airbnb, but like we're going to go down there. We're just going to stay there. So like there's room. Just saying.
All right.
Deal. All right. So let's have a truthful, honest raise of hands responses. Who actually did the exercises last week? 1, 2, 3. That means no, Eiley. Like that means no. I'm married 16 years. That means no. That means you looked at it and had the intentions to do it, but you didn't grab a partner and do it.
Esther and I had a conversation about it.
Oh, so Esther's cheating too. Hey, you know you have to see me in 2 weeks in person, right? So, but I asked this to ask that, right? Like, is having those worksheets like valuable to exercise, right? Like to say, hey, like here's stuff we could exercise on, right? Here's things to do. Like, did you find it useful? Like, I'm looking for feedback here.
I had more questions.
Okay.
So like
let's start there.
First I would break the trust barrier by asking them, hey, I love stories. Tell me how you guys met. Right. Yep. But like, how many kids do you have? Do they live in the home? Are they financially able to cover the payments? Would they want to keep the home? I have a lot of follow-up questions to be able to like.
So what do you do for opening to break what do you do for on the other side to get that trust barrier? What do you do to build the rapport out of the gate? Like, what's a question you ask? Well,
first thing I do is I text them my business ID.
Yep.
With my producer number. And then I, verify that, like, all right, we're talking about your home this is the address, right? That's correct. And then I ask them, how can I help you? What is it that you were thinking about when you filled this out?
Right. So I will, right. So you know how most people courteously say, like, you ask like, hey, how are you doing today? Like you ask them and they'll ask back. What's your response what do you say to them when they ask, how are you? What's your response?
I don't ask how they are.
You 100% should, because here's why. And I'll teach you.
Salesy, but okay,
it's not. It's the opposites, because I'm going to show you how to do it and make it funny. Okay. So
Okay.
Adrian just got to watch me do this. All right. Because I'll be like, hey, how's it going today? Right. Because they're Curtis. I want them to ask it back to me. Okay. And they'll go, right. So like, I'll ask you, like, role play this with me. Right. You know, hey, ring, you answer. And we're talking. Right. And now we're in that spot. I go, hey, how you doing today? How's everything going, Eiley?
I'm good. How about you?
I tell you what, I'm just doing the best I can to stay out of trouble. Right.
I can
And
relate
then
to
I'll
that.
go, right. And you will get that chuckle out of people, and they'll be like, I'm just trying to do the same. Right. Like, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. Right. Like, that's how you can take that question and change the opening to it. Okay. So instead of making it right, like making it salesy, right, we look at it, we say, no, right. Hey, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble here. Right. Like, um, and if you do that, right, and you can even say, what about you? You trying to stay out of trouble too? Right. Like, and especially like if I get, if you have somebody that's older than you, right, you can really you can make a good joke about it. But that sale, like, telemarketers aren't going to do that, right? A telemarketer is just going to read the script, right? We want to build that trust barrier right away with them. So that's my go-to opening line, right? Is, oh, how you doing today, man? I'm like, and I'll even say like, all I can to not get in any more trouble with my wife, right? Like, and just like try to make a joke out of it, right? Like, and if you do that, like, you can't even like hear someone say that and not chuckle, right? Like, they'll get a kick out of it. And I'll ask Adrian, right? Like, how did that go when I asked that question?
It totally connected with you. I mean, he opened up like a flower, and his life, it turned out that you all had so much in common, and it just opened up everything. I mean, everything. He was like a an open book at that point
Yeah.
because he felt like, oh wow, he connected, and
Right.
he was, relatable.
Right. So that one question, right, will like just break the ice right away. So, right, when that can quickly, because if you get a laugh out of somebody, that, right, we know that rapport's gonna build faster. Right. And today was just like so he's 1 year younger than me. We both played football. We knew a bunch of the same people in the same area. Like, we both grew up in the hood. Like, like it was, we like, that was like a North Star connection. You like the dream guy you get on the phone that it's like, we played against like each other in like all-star teams in high schools. Like, we were talking like, oh yeah, I was here at the same time. We didn't know each other, but we can connect the dots, right? Like, now, how often is that ever going to happen on like a random 50 cent lead phone call? Probably one every 10,000. But right, like when it does, but it broke it because I asked that question. So, right. So then as you go in, you can really work on that. Right. And then, so what I wanted to tie in objections, right, is, hey, we're trying to build rapport, but we're going to get objections as we go. Okay. And I will tell you, one of the things that helped me quicker here was using Scott's producer page and like really getting those down that were tailored to life insurance. Right. And then, so what I did is I took this, right, and kind of added some more that I use. Okay. And some common objections I think we're going to see. Right. So like, as we go through topics today, right, our common objections, and I broke it down to life, mortgage, final expense, IULs, right? That's a majority of what all of us are selling. And then we talk about how do we turn it into building rapport and trust, right? Understanding the root cause of the objection, right? So like, do you notice, so are you focusing, like, Eiley, I'll pick on you since we're here now. Are you focusing more on life leads, mortgage protection? Are you trying to do IULs? Like, what are you focusing on?
Mortgage protection, and
Oh,
then I work Level Up and Razor Ridge Life Leads as well,
okay.
and all of them are potential resets to IULs.
For sure. Absolutely. Agreed. So, like, what have you like recently tend to see like one objection like more than the other? Like, do you feel like there's something you're hearing more recently?
Um, definitely with budget.
Yep.
You know, I'm having to do a lot of tweaking with people's budget. People are very, very worried. They're struggling. Um, you know, those that see and understand the value of getting the policy get that. And you know, I kind of they get disappointed too, right? Because they want more, but they just can't afford it. So I just try to I help alleviate that by letting them know, you know, hey, it's okay, it's great. Let's get something in place now. We can always get more later. You know,
Right.
we can always
So,
get
right. So,
budget
you know,
money.
yeah, budget. I would agree, right? Economy's tough right now. Interest rates are high. Everything, inflation's through the roof, right? Like I love when they came out and they're like, oh, inflation's down a couple percent. Well, you know what? It's up 72. So I really don't care that it's down 3, right? It's like, hey, I used to weigh 200 pounds, but I ate like, the dude from, like Billy Bob from Varsity Blues, and I'm 400 pounds now. But hey, I just lost 10 this week. But guess what? I still weigh 390 pounds, right? Like, so understanding that. How do you show empathy to them in that situation? Like, what do you do to help, like, across the phone, show empathy?
I just I listen to them first.
Okay.
I let them know that I get it, you know, then and that they're not alone. And depending on like how deep, you know, I'll tell my own story or maybe use a friend's story of what they're going through, you know, and just show them that hey, I'm human too, and you're not alone. A lot of people are going through this too. I talk to a lot of people. You're not, you know, I hear this all the time, right? Like I like to say those kind of things. Like I talk to a lot of people. I hear this all the time. You're not the first person that I've helped, you know, work this out, that kind of thing.
Are you comfortable asking, like, so they think if they don't tell us so I dealt with this before and I'll share it this way. Okay. So in my old company, right? And what I had, I had to have a real frank conversation with them up front. Okay. Is I say, hey, we need to have a real conversation about your budget. Okay. And here's why. Okay. And this is, and I'll show you how I've used it into here. Okay. And this is on like the cheat sheet. Like I call it, acknowledge, probe, solution, right? You'll see I do acknowledge, probe, solution. So I acknowledge it. Hey, it's here. So I go out, I'm meeting you at your house, right? See the family. Hey, I want to, you're going to pay me for a design. And this is what I say to you. I go, here's the biggest challenge I have in my current role is everybody wants the coolest thing, right? For the least amount of money. All right. Here's the problem from a design standpoint. If your budget's $150,000, but you tell me it's 95, I'm going to design you a $95,000 backyard. If you tell me your budget's 300, right? And I show you a $450,000 backyard, you're not going to really like me then either, right? Because you're going to love the design I did. It's going to be awesome, right? But you only have a budget for $300,000. Okay. So when we're talking budget here, how have I used that to reformat here, right? So I understand that budget's a major concern from here, right? So my role and purpose is threefold. Eiley, it's one, to make sure you're protected, James, John, Jerry, I make sure I have their beneficiary names are protected. I want to ensure it's in your budget, and most importantly, that you qualify for it. Okay. Now, what price ranges are you comfortable with? Here's why I asked that, right? I can get you a lot of coverage. We can get you coverage into the 7 figures, most likely. However, it's probably not going to be in the budget. I need a range of what's comfortable for you and your family. So when I go to look at these carriers, I can get you the most coverage that fits your budget and makes your family protected. Does that make sense? Right? Yeah. And that's what I say. Does that make sense? I want them to say yes audibly. Okay. So, right. Perfect. I know that makes sense, right? And boom, we go in, we get that. And I want them to say, you know, hey, I have $60. Okay, right? I don't want to show them a $95 policy, right? What I want to show them is a $72 policy, a $58 policy, you know, and a $50 policy, right? And we know most likely they're going to do that $58 policy. I want to give them the option to stretch, but when I show them, I'm like, hey, if it's going to be a stretch, if it's ever going to come and be like, hey, that's a little too much this month, I'm going to skip the payment. Don't do that. You don't want to lose out on coverage, right? So we acknowledge it, right? We probe, right? So, and I put it in there, right? We offer flexible plans, right? We're a broker, and we do. We all know we do, right? There's, you can see there's a wide range of things, but like, and this is what I said. So we want to look at a policy that provides the coverage you need, and we're doing something with living benefits, right? I'll say has those living benefits, stays within your budget. I will tell you, a lot of my clients are surprised at how affordable it can be to protect you and your ABC beneficiaries, right? I always add in a majority of my clients, so they feel like they're doing something that a lot of other people have done, right? People want to know that, hey, a lot of other people have done this and it makes them more comfortable. So use that as you roll in, right? Hey, right? It's here. How do we get there? Right? And then we know the standard, right? Something's better than nothing. We can always get more coverage later. Okay. So Adrian, I'm going to pick on you for a sec because you're brand new. Okay. So have you had anybody tell you yet, my mortgage is already covered?
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
Did you know, and you probably weren't, and it's okay, right? What's your response, right?
Okay, so I actually did that. I had someone that I called and it was an old lead. So she said, "Oh, I paid that house off already. I don't have that
Right.
house anymore." So I said, "Well," I said, "I'm really proud of you for that." I said, "So, what are your plans?" So she told me, "I want to buy another house, but I have, I said, do you have any 401ks at your job?" And she said, "Yeah, I have some old 401ks." And I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, taxes are going to be it's not going to be really good for having a 401k, but I know of a specialist that could help you to mitigate those taxes and, roll that old 401k into an annuity, and it'll save you tax dollars. So, I was able to, get an appointment on with Debbie because I knew I mean, not Debbie, but Ruth, because I know that, she specializes in that. So I try now in listening to all of you that if they tell me no about insurance, I try to see what else they need or what else they have so that something is better than nothing at all, trying to, keep them engaged as much as I can. So
Right.
that's what I do.
And that's good, right? So, and if it's along those lines of budget, it's too expensive, right? I understand that cost matters, right? And that budget matters, right? I then turn around and say, what would you be comfortable paying monthly for that peace of mind to protect you and your family? Right? What would you be comfortable with, give you that peace of mind, right? I want them to relate, hey, that money is my peace of mind, right? Like you want to like trigger them with that, right? So, right, like really getting them to understand, how it goes in. And this is like, it goes back to drilling, right? Like, so I'm going to use an example on discipline, okay? Discipline is doing what you hate, but doing it like you love it, okay? Like that's what real discipline is, okay? Right? Because we all got certain things we hate doing. Some of us, it's actually picking up the phone and dialing, right? It is the right. You can hear some people and it's the moon to them. Some people, they hate working on becoming better. They might hate reading, right? So learning to be disciplined, right? Because listen, right? I hate actual running, but I'll go do it and I fake it like I love it because I'm trying to get my mind to tell me to do it. Listen, I'll go do a Stairmaster, like Infinity Row or anything. Running's just actually boring to me. It's not that I hate it, it's just boring. So, how to relate that to work, right? Do we set aside 20 to 30 minutes a week, right? If you set aside 30 minutes, put it in your schedule and sit down and actually record yourself on your calls, right? How many of us actually record us on our calls, right? Record your call and you listen back to each other, right? If we're being truthful, there's not going to be a lot of hands, right? I just know there's not because I dealt with too many salespeople over the years. So, like, record yourself, take 30 minutes, right? A week. If you do that, you will start seeing as that compounds, right? And you might hate how you sound to yourself, right? And that's why I brought up the discipline. The discipline of then taking a task like this, right? Saying, okay, hey, I'm really going to work on my budget, overcoming budget objections, right? I'm going to give myself 30 minutes a week of my work time, right? To really focus on that. I'm going to listen to some stuff and I'm going to drill it, right? I'm going to find somebody to practice and drill it. Okay. It's like, that's what's going to get you better is the repetitions. But we have to be disciplined to do it, right? Because, right, we all want to be, right, at the goal where, hey, when people look at it, like, people are going to be jealous of what you have. And it doesn't really matter what stage you're at in life, right? But remember, nobody's ever going to be jealous of how you got it, right? Like, they see right? They see trophies, not training grounds, okay? Right? For years, I've personally dealt that with a lot of my own family. And they see, hey, I got here. They didn't want to be with me here when I was grinding away, right? When I would work on how to overcome objections, when I would read a book on how to be better at closing, when I would learn, and listen to something about coming there. So that's why I want to, like, drill, right? Like, drill these in, like, find somebody in the group that you can sit down and drew this with, right? Relate it to, I'll use Tyler for, like, in the kitchen, right? Great chefs, right? Like, how many, their knife work, right? How many hours have they cut stuff to have great knife work, right? Sports, right? Like, I love Kobe, right? And I'm not even a Laker guy, but I love Kobe because his like, I'm wired the same. Like, it's just work ethic, right? Hey, instead of showing up at 9, I'm going to show up at 5, right? So take that. And if you do that with this, right? If you start saying, hey, how do I overcome these projections, right? We pivot a lot to final expense. Hey, we want to give you some final expense here, right? Oh, my family can cover that, right? Have you discussed the potential cost of your family, right? Do you know what it's really going to cost? And an example, the policy sold last night, she said, hey, I prepaid. I was like, awesome. Do you know how much money you saved you? And I used my wife's grandma. My wife's grandma just passed away. We had 2 grandmas, 96. Each passed away last year. Fortunately, we both already had everything paid for. But her grandma, when their parents bought their plots, they paid, I think, 15 grand for 4 plots. When that same plot today, one of them is $28,000, right? For the plot, not the burial, not anything else, right? If you want to be buried in today's day and age, you are going to pay an insane amount of money. And it's now 5 to 9 to 10 grand just to cremate someone. Okay. So, right, really getting them like, hey, do you want that burden on your kids to have to come out of their own pocket for that? Right? Like, ask the questions, don't make statements, right? I even put in there, and you guys can drill over it. I have for the youngins, right? I deal with a lot of the kids in, like, Texas and stuff out in the oil fields, right? Hey, I'm 24, I'm bulletproof, right? Like, I don't need it, right? hey, right? We want to look at these different policies. Here's what we need, right? How do you do that? I even, help break some stuff on IULs, right? So things we want to work on, right? As you're drilling, right? One, stay calm and confident, right? Like, and I'm gonna pick on Esther here for a second. Miss Esther, right? Think back to when you first started, and I get it's a little different now, right? We're on the phone, but let's think back to when you made the switch from going in home, right? COVID hits, you make the switch, and we're like, hey, we're all gonna be broke if we don't figure out this phone Zoom thing like real fast because we're not selling any policies, right?
Right.
How did you learn how to like become calm and confident, right? What did you do to like transition to where you felt that way?
I had to go back to acting like I didn't know anything and just follow Scott's scripts. So we had scripts on his website for Zoom specifically. And then we also switched from a presentation that I could have done in the home to a Zoom presentation. And I just followed the presentations until I got comfortable with them. And as ironic as all that is, we ended up back on the phone again. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's crazy. And I actually want to go back in the home. I miss all that fun I had since I've been doing my policy reviews. Every single person I talked to, I don't remember them. They all remember me. Oh yeah, she came to my house. Oh, I said, yeah, didn't you guys get me something to eat? And then we, and it's just like so much better for me anyway.
Yeah, and that's understanding that, right? Like how do you manage that side of it? But right, like when we're dealing with objections, how do we, right? Like what do you do to maintain, a calm, cool tone, right? To not let it get flustered. Like what are some of the techniques you use to where you don't feel frustrated? Instead, you sound calm, cool, collected.
I talk about my stupidity in a kind of a respectful way.
All right, let's hear it. This is great. Like, how so?
Well, I do make mistakes.
Okay.
And I'm transparent with them and let them know, especially in the beginning when I didn't know what I was doing. I would even say, good thing I have several managers that have been doing this for 10 years longer than me. So if I screw up, you'll be in good hands. Because, they can tell that you don't know what you're doing.
Yep.
Or I did call from the home a lot, over and over and over again. And because I felt comfortable with that, I didn't feel not nervous. But I think in the very beginning, but we were in the home mostly in the very beginning,
Right. So
Did I answer your question?
it does. Yeah. Just I want to hear like techniques people use, right? Because that's one of the benefits of doing this together, right? Sitting down saying, hey, like, how do I do this? How have I made this work? How have I become successful here? Right. And knowing
Talk
that.
about my other jobs too that I've had,
And then like I would assume you share stories,
Yeah, lots of stories.
right?
You think at 60, whatever, I'd be able to see this better, and they laugh, depending on what age group I'm dealing with. And if they're younger, I talk about my kids and say, you're probably smarter than my kids. You'll listen to me, right? Stuff like that.
Right. Like how, like, right. It's that, right. Finding that, last week, build rapport, right. Which allows you to overcome objections. Right. So it's that,
And being okay with just who you are. Cause I don't I can pull stuff off I can't pull off just because she's who she is, And so the more you are who you are, I think the easier it becomes to stay calm and work your best game. Don't worry about being like somebody else.
Yeah. Like I've watched really successful women that have worked for me take advantage of the fact that they are a mom. They right
woman.
like that. Like I can't do that, right? Like I don't have that, right? I don't have that, right?
I know
I
zero
can't
about sports too.
right. So but yeah, but that's okay, right? There's 79 million homeowners in the US and there's 220 million people over 18 that need life insurance. The pond is big, but right, but knowing right like that, right? Knowing that side of it. So then like Let's see who's got their camera. I'm gonna pick on LaRonda. All right, LaRonda. So, right as you've gotten going here, she's there. She sees me. She's coming. I think she's trying to get unmuted here.
Yeah.
She looks like she
I have
is.
glasses that look a lot like hers. I'm gonna put them on.
Hey, LaRonda.
She's looking for a mute button, I think.
Oh, here I
yeah,
can.
I can
watch.
read her lips.
I just
My mom
asked her
taught
to
me that.
unmute so she can click it.
Okay,
There we
can
go.
you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can.
There you go.
Okay, that's
All
me
right.
and Eddie. Me and Eddie
Yeah,
are
I
here.
can kind of see Eddie in the background. He's a little fuzzy. So, all
He
right.
doesn't like his hairdo today, the way it came out.
Just wear a hat like me. So, right. What do you do? Like, how do you feel you actively listen to your clients instead of just thinking about the next thing you're going to say? Is that something you've struggled with? Do you think you do a good job? Is that something you're working on? Like, how do you feel you do with that?
I feel that I need to come out of like sometimes letting them talk and talk and talk and talk, and it's too much. And then I'm like trying to figure out, okay, how do I veer them back onto what the whole subject is? Because I'm like Ailey. I don't know if I said her name right. Eiley. I like to hear stories too. So I could just sit here all day and just listen. But at the same time, when you got a lot more dials to do, you got to kind of crunch that down.
All right. So here's a thing I do to pivot that, right? You summarize what they've said and use it to pivot. Okay. Oh, thank you. Right. Hey, LaRonda, thank you so much for telling me about the kids and, how important this is going to be and whatever that story is. Right. So you say, hey, thank you for sharing that with me. Summarize what I hear is important to you is family is important, or man, you really love watching sports, right? You're going to summarize what's important to them there and then turn it around. So the next step here for us is to do this, right? So you take it, you listen, you show concern by addressing it, right? And then what you're also doing is a lot of times that's killing an objection before they can respond, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Right. So, right, like when you're sitting there, okay. And then learning how, like, as you talk to more people, you're doing policies, right? Learning how to tailor your responses to their situation and needs, right? Like a 77-year-old retired female who has her kids and grandkids and lost her husband has different needs than the 38-year-old who's married with 4 kids versus the 24-year-old dude working out in the oil fields in Texas, right? Those are 3 very different situations. So how do you like stay calm, right? So you have to work on it, right? You have to sit down and say, hey, I'm going to stay calm, right? Like, listen, like you guys have heard me talk. There's times I used to have to sit on my hands so I wouldn't interrupt people, right? And I learned to actually listen, and I'm trying to like mentally note, hey, this is what I'm listening to, right? So our favorite one of all time, right? I'm going to think about it, right? Everybody's favorite one. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to pray about it. I got to talk about it. Like, whatever about it, right? Whatever the insert here about it, right? We didn't provide enough value, okay, to show them why they should go forward, right?
That makes sense.
So one of the things I really recommend doing is preemptively strike with that, okay? I lead with, hey, you have pen and paper in your hand, right, LaRonda?
Yes.
Awesome. So I will tell you, sometimes on an occasion, a family will tell me, hey, we need to talk about this more. We got to think about it. We got to pray about it. It means one of 2 things for me. Okay. It means it's not in your budget, or we're not solving the solution to protect you and your family today, and you feel like it doesn't fit your needs. So as we go through these and I show you these, remember, your job is to pick something that comfortably fits your budget. My job is to help you find something we can qualify for and get it to you at the most value. Does that make sense? Awesome. So if any of those things come up, if you feel like you need to pray about it, talk about it, think about it, I'd like to have that conversation, right? And review those concerns so we can handle them and help make sure you have that protection you requested today. Right? So if you preemptively lead with that, that's a way to, right, to go there. So,
Okay.
right, like those are options, right? It's already there. And then again, like trying to get them to, I want that out of the way and making them more comfortable. Like that's always my goal with that. So, and I just really, I also kind of want to open up the floor to anybody else that says, hey, I'm hearing this one. I've been swinging and missing. Does anybody else have them? Uh-oh, Linda came live. So that means she might have one.
No. I just was in transit. So I don't
Okay.
have one. Sorry.
That's all right. Linda's just like, I'm a closer. I don't even have to deal with objections. I just get them on, write policy reviews.
No,
And
you
keep
know
on
what?
down
I
the
have
road.
a ton of objections, but it seems, I'll just say this, it in the beginning it seemed like I got a ton of objections, and now it's more like I don't so much get objections as I am, we're really just we're having a discussion about something. Doesn't matter what it is. We're just agreeing to talk about anything and everything. You know, it's not exactly what they want, just be able to have that kind of, it's like kind of knowing we might not agree on everything, but let's just have that open, honest discussion. And it seems like no matter what, even if they don't get approved, or even if it's not exactly what they wanted, it's not a, oh my God, now what do? I got to say the magic thing. It's just like, okay, we'll just talk about it. So.
For sure. I can agree. Anybody have anything they want to ask while we're here?
I wanted to ask,
Ask away.
when you had with the I think about it, and you said that you lead and you bring up what you have brought up, do you do that every time, or is it something that
100% of the time? I want that, like I want to address it. So then when they say it, I'll make a joke about it on the back end. So then if they say it again, I'll be like, remember I told you were going to tell me you were going to like think about it or pray about it, right? And I just make it funny to them then, right? Then again, I'm getting a smile out of them, trying to get a little dopamine, serotonin in them, right? Like kind of make it, feel comfortable. But if you did that and you built that rapport, right? But that I want to think about it. So what I say, hey, grab your pen and paper. You have that so we can write these down? Yes, perfect. Sometimes families I work with, right? Again, some of the families I work with, right? I want them to hear, I'm helping multiple families I work with have, say, hey, I need to think about it, pray about it, whatever. Okay. It means those two things, right? It means it's either too expensive or I haven't addressed your concerns. So if those come up, right, I want to make sure we have that conversation. Remember, I'm a broker. I have access to 40 plus A-rated carriers and companies. That gives me the ability to never have a client say I can't fit their needs. Right. So when you, again, I'm filling their needs, you're filling their needs. Right. So that side of it, as you talk to them, and that, and then it's, I want to make sure, like, if I got them on the phone, I hate getting off the phone without a policy, right? Like I want it on that call and, how I do it from there. So that side of it matters. Well, what's Chris? Hold on. Chris has said something. Often it comes up, but I always end up in rescheduling and followed up. Yeah. So, right. But most I don't hear from again. Right. So Chris is saying, hey, I can't schedule some. So that's why I'm trying to cut it off. Right. And then it's just like, oh, we'll deal with it later. Right. We didn't make it an important issue. Right. So again, everybody's here like realizes, the importance of training. Right. And I say that to share this, right?
Because this is on there.
Remember, the biggest risk to our futures, right, isn't our competition. It isn't other agents. It's not another IMO. It's not someone else calling them, right? It's the distractions we insist on keeping in our lives, right? We will do that rather than doing the things we know we should be doing, but aren't, right? Remember this, right? When we're delaying, it usually takes longer to delay than it does to do the thing we were going to go do, right? It would have been less time to just go do the thing we were delaying, but we spent 10x the time delaying it and wasted all that time, right? So again, I say that to encourage everybody. This is a skill and a craft that we need to work on. Take advantage of that. And while we're in Denver, we're not doing this. So just a heads up. So we will do it next week, but we are going to skip the week we're in Denver because we're all going to be in the middle of the conference. Cool. Any other questions?
I got one for you, Trevor.
All right, let's hear it.
So I don't know. This has just been one I've been getting like, and it's not even necessarily so much recent. I had two the other day that were like this, where they were telling me how important this is to them, how important this coverage is to them, but that they've got something going on in their life right now that they don't feel like they can pull the trigger on this. And so I know just from like, like if I can understand what it is, then I can help, maybe like if it's like a financial thing that we can like backdate the policy, something like that, right? But getting them to open up about it and tell me what it is, like it's like they think I'm trying to be nosy or something. I don't know if it's, me or them or what, right? But they're like, oh yeah, I want this, just not right now. I've got to take care of this first. I'll get back to you when I'm ready. I'm like, well,
so tell me more about why you think that's more important than making sure you and your family are protected. Right? Like, tell me more about that, right? You just want to like the thing I like that enforces me every day is even since I've been doing this again, right? My friends a couple weeks ago, my acquaintance, I don't know if you guys heard me talk about it, right? I have an acquaintance the other day that his 26-year-old daughter fell off a 4-story balcony on Monday and has no protection. She's in critical, she might not make it. The hospital bills are already through the roof. They put up a GoFundMe, right? And I use that when I'm talking to clients, right? You don't want to have to be the family that put up the GoFundMe instead of making sure you were protected, right? Sure, there's a time and a situation and a place for that, but that's not life insurance, right? I say that GoFundMe is not life insurance, right? And that's what people, if you really look, a lot of people really have to use it for. So I go back to them and I like work on being confident and asking that question and prodding appropriate, right? Oh, well, it's this, right? If they give you one thing, right? If they say, oh, I'm working, like I have a guy right now I'm chasing. He's taking care of his older uncle. And every time I get him, it's, hey, I got to go do this with my uncle. And I'm like, what are you going to do if that situation, right? I'm pressing the button and poking it back. But to that, right? Tell me more. Like, or I'll even use, can you share with me what is in that situation that's making it a struggle for you? Because I might have had a client that's going through the same thing in the past, and I might be able to offer some advice to help you. Right? Like you're like, hey, I might even be able to have a solution for you. Right? I have a lot of clients that, have been in similar situations. Tell me more about that. Right? Or the other one I use is walk me through that. Huh? Yeah. Walk me through that process for you. What does that process look like currently? Oh, well, I got to get up at 4 a.m, drive an hour to go take care of my sick mom. Right. And then I got to go work all day. And right. So then I'm getting the pain points. And then I know what the real why is now. And then you can convert that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's huge. And I know that that's something that I've, even to this day, especially in the beginning, struggled with was pressing the hot button, right? And like poking the pain point, right? Which is the whole reason we do this, right? And especially with stories, right? I mean, like I did this just this week where, people are giving me, like to think about it.
Right.
And it's just like, what do you mean? Like, but like in my head, I'm thinking, think about protecting your family. Like, I know you want to do this. You wouldn't have met with me, but like saying it to where it's like, to where you're putting that in front of them, where you're like, hey, hold on, you're pressing the pause button on taking care of something that you've told me is really important to you.
Think
know,
about it
being-
like this. Take the mirror and show them their reflection.
Yeah.
Right? Show them
Right.
their reflection in the mirror and
Yeah.
let them see it that way through, again, acknowledge it, probe it, right? And then provide a solution. So, right? Like that's what we want to do. Hear the objection, acknowledge it, and then provide that solution.
It's awesome.
Cool. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm excited to